Are you tired, frustrated, broke, tired of being tired? Well, today we're going to talk about some things that you can do to improve your life for 2025. If that sounds good to you, continue watching. Well, I was on a plane in November right before Thanksgiving, and I was reading a magazine, Success Magazine, which I love to read, and it had an article about this man. His name was Elrod, and he wrote this book called The Miracle Morning. And he just talked about, he was at a point in his life where he was just tired, he was frustrated, he had financial difficulties, and he just didn't know what to do. He had a mentor that said, did you exercise today? And he's like, oh, I don't want to exercise. It's not going to fix my problems. But he did it. And so he actually started doing research in what later became a book. He has this app that you can also download for free about the Miracle Morning. And, we think about getting up early before anyone else in the house is awake and spending time on ourselves. When you're on a plane, the flight attendant will say, if there's turbulence or if there's troubles and you have to help someone, put your mask on first and then put it on someone around you or children or, family member that needs help. If we don't take care of ourselves, we really can't take care of others. And I've kind of learned that through my career as a physician is if I'm not healthy, if I'm not well, I can't help others. And so getting up early in the morning is very important. I know some people aren't morning people, but I've noticed in my life and in my career, the time where no one calls me, no one disturbs me, my pager doesn't go off, the answering service doesn't call me is really early in the morning. So those are kind of my golden hours before I'm interrupted or before I'm bombarded with questions and problems. So that early time in the morning is so, so important. Even if you're a night owl, just making time to get up early, to spend some time on your personal health, on your wellness, on your mental health is very important. So when he wrote this book, he had an acronym or mnemonic called Lifesavers. So the Savers is his 6-step guide to how you can kind of structure your morning kind of me time. And so S is for silence. We know there's a lot of research on the importance of silence. When I was a medical student, one of our staff members went on a silent retreat and she loved it. She actually wound up going twice. And it just brought so much mental clarity and just mental and inner peace to her that she just said she highly recommended it. The A in Lifesavers is for affirmation, speaking the things that we want, speaking, that we're smart and we're strong and we're talented is very encouraging to kind of sometimes can't wait for others to encourage you. You really have to encourage yourself. The third part that he said in his savers is visualization. And thinking about what it is that you want, seeing it. And, as a former athlete, this is so important to any athlete. I remember one time when I was in middle school, I was on a relay and we just knew we were going to win. I could see it and we all knew it. And even though we hadn't known the outcome, we just knew we were going to get first place, and we did. And so a lot of athletes you'll notice will visualize the race. Like, Michael Phelps talks about this a lot, closing his eyes, playing the tape in his mind about his race, what the perfect race is, how many strokes he's going to have, and just visualizing the outcome has been very helpful for many athletes. And it's actually important for you. If you don't know what you want, it's kind of hard to visualize it. So one thing it does, it makes you figure out what is it that I want? What do I want to improve for 2025? So V is for visualization. E is for exercise. Now I noticed that in the end of the day, I'm tired. I don't feel like working out. So for me, working out in the morning is so important, whether it's walking or going to the gym, just getting some type of movement early in the morning when I can say, it's quiet, no one's going to disturb me, and I can get it out the way. It definitely helps for your mental health and also your physical health. R is for reading. Now, we do know reading is so important. If you read daily, you'll learn so much. Think about just reading 10, 20 minutes a day in a year, how much you've learned and you've grown. So reading is very important. When I see leaders or CEOs, it's just amazing to me how much they read and how important reading is to them. So if you want to learn a new skill, pick up a book. And then the last one is S for scribing. So scribing is more like journaling. I think he needed an S. So scribing or writing, writing your thoughts. What I like to do is gratitude. You've probably heard a lot about gratitude and writing in a gratitude journal. So this is one of mine. I actually have like 3, depending on where I am. So this is just my gratitude journal. And I realize if I focus on what I'm grateful for, then I'm less likely to complain or be angry or mad or upset because I'm thinking about how grateful I am. So definitely, I highly recommend getting a gratitude journal. It doesn't take a lot of time. Just pick one up. This is kind of a cute one, but there's many different ones. You can just get a pad and a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be in a journal, but definitely think about every day what you're grateful for. And so when I think about some other books that I've loved along that line, one, The Miracle Morning, there's several other books that I've read. Now there's many, many more, but these are the ones that I've read personally about getting up in the morning, having some dedicated focus time for yourself to improve yourself, improve your mental health, your physical health, and your emotional health. One book that a patient actually recommended to me is this one. It's called The 5 a.m. Club by Sharma. I had a patient and she said she absolutely loved this book. It changed her life. And so I actually bought one for myself and for my secretary. I don't think she read hers, but I read mine. And it's a really good book. It's a little hard in the beginning to start, but once you finish it, it's like amazing. So this also talks about getting up in the early morning hours and focusing on yourself, exercising, journaling, being having gratitude. Another book that I've also read that I love a lot is by Terri Savelle. It's called What Successful People Do Before 8 a.m. or The Habits of Successful People Before 8 a.m. I'll put it on the screen, but it's a great book. I loved it, and I highly recommend it. I'll definitely put a list of all these books in the link below so that if you're interested, you can read them. So in terms of that morning hour, just having time to yourself before anyone else is up is so important. Now, there's some other books that I want you to read that have really changed my life, and I know will be able to change yours. In terms of affirmations, if you don't know what to do, I love this book by Osteen, I Declare. It talks about 31 promises to speak over your life. Very good book. I love, love, love it. I've actually read all of his books. And then I love Pep Talk by Terri Savelle. It really goes into how we shouldn't have negative self-talk. A lot of times we talk ourselves out of things where, I don't have enough money, or I'm not smart enough, or this or that. But it's speaking things that you want into existence and encouraging yourself. Again, sometimes there may not be someone to encourage you. You can encourage yourself. So I love this Pep Talk. It's a great book. So definitely check it out.
This is what I do every single morning as a neuroscientist to basically be the best person I can be. The first thing to know is that when we are waking up in the morning, our brainwaves are transitioning from delta, theta, alpha, and then into beta when we are more awake and alert. And this is important because if you check your phone first thing in the morning, you're causing your brain to go straight into high beta waves, and you are priming yourself to have more stress throughout the rest of your day. Checking social media first thing in the morning also spikes dopamine and lowers your baseline dopamine levels to make you continue to crave checking social media throughout the rest of your day. So I don't go on my phone, but I will play affirmations first thing in the morning. And I do this because evidence suggests that when we have increased theta and alpha brainwave activity, we have increased neuroplasticity, meaning that we have an increased ability to learn and remember things and reprogram our subconscious mind. And theta and alpha are high right when we're waking up. Step 2 of my morning routine is movement. Morning exercise is key, especially if you have ADHD like me. Exercise increases dopamine, norepinephrine, and endocannabinoids, so you get energy, focus, motivation, and a mood boost for the rest of your day. Exercise also just boosts blood flow and oxygen to the brain, so it's the best way to wake up. And I also get sunlight in my eyes every morning to regulate my circadian rhythm. If it's gloomy outside, I'll do red light therapy. And the last step is meditation. Meditation has an extensive list of health benefits as well as improving focus and productivity. But aside from that, meditation gave me superpowers, and it completely changed my life.
And one of the books that I read several years ago when I was going through just a difficult time in my life, and I wanted to figure out how do I have better friendships, relationships, better health. And I came across this book, which I absolutely love. I definitely highly recommend it. I've talked about it on several YouTube videos. It's called Blue Zones. And what Dan Buettner did is he was doing an article for National Geographic, and he studied the people that lived longest who are healthy all across the world, and he came up with these blue zones where people are just very healthy and they have great relationships and they live long. They're not old and sick, they're old and healthy and vibrant. And so this book talks about things that you can do just to maximize your life. I loved it. I absolutely love it. I still get I'm on their email list, so I still get information. They'll have on their email list, I get diet tips, things that are good to eat. But anyway, I highly recommend this if you're into wanting to be healthy for as long as you can, because who wants to have a long life and be sick? Nobody. So definitely read this. It's a great read. It's easy to read and you will highly enjoy it. Another part of things that we think about in terms of having the best year is finances. When we're struggling with money, stressors in terms of money is just so draining and definitely can make you depressed, can make you sad, angry. And despite the economy, who knows what will happen in 2025, there's still some things that we can do. There's things that we can do in terms of protecting our assets so that we can take care of our children and our family and our parents. So these are some books that I've read in terms of finance that I absolutely love. Now, again, there's going to be many, many more that you may love. And if there's some that really resonated with you, put them in the chat below and share it with others. But these are the three that I've read that I love. Now, David Bach wrote this book, Start Late and Finish Rich. See that or not, we'll put that up. I love this book. He actually has a series of them, and I think I've read several of them, but I love this because I kind of was at a point where I thought, oh my gosh, I've been in school forever. Literally for medicine, we're in school forever. And I felt like I kind of was starting late, like I was behind. And so I just love this book. It's an easy read, and I think I've read several of these in this series, but I highly, highly recommend it. Another one that I love is Dave Ramsey's Complete Guide to Money. It's very practical. He's very big about not getting into debt. And of course, that's a lot of our biggest problem is buying things that we really don't need to impress people we really don't like. But anyway, this book is very good. I highly recommend it. It's an easy read. My niece graduated from high school this year, and I really wanted to teach her about money because I don't think her parents taught her very much about money. So I actually purchased the Financial Peace University for her and went through it with her. Each module we did together, and I had done it before through my church group, but I did it again, and I highly recommend it. But I wanted it for her because she didn't get a lot of financial education. And you think about what we learn in school. We don't learn about things that we really need in life. We don't learn about finance. And so ideally your parents should teach you that. But if your parents don't know, they can't teach you. So I wanted to make sure she knew. So definitely I highly recommend this book. He's got Financial Peace University. It's not very expensive, but it's definitely worth the investment. Another book that I loved is Retire Inspired. Now, we don't really talk a lot about retirement planning. I find myself having to take courses or read books because I didn't get much education, and I've been to school forever, and no one really talks about how do you retire inspired. I remember one time when I was a young doctor, I was in my first job, and I had a patient with ovarian cancer, and she was married, her husband was a small business owner, and kind of thought, well, she's the one with cancer, she'll die first. Well, actually, he died first. Her husband had a heart attack and all of a sudden died. And here was this woman who didn't know anything about his business, didn't know anything about the books or the finances, and she's getting chemotherapy and trying to manage his business because he really didn't talk to her about his finances, where his accounts were. She had no idea. It was so stressful for her. When we think about retirement, do you have a will? If you don't have a will, definitely make 2025 the year that you get a will. Do you have advance directives? Do you talk to have you talked to your family members about, if I should get sick and can't speak for myself, these are my wishes, or this is the person I want to speak for me. So think about that. A lot of times when I have my patients who have cancer and I'm talking to them about end of life planning, they always think, oh, okay, am I going to die right now? We're all going to die eventually. And it's good to have a plan in place just so that your children or your heirs or whomever you leave behind doesn't have the stress of having to find things or having to search for things or hire lawyers or tax attorneys because they didn't know what to do with your assets. So even I remember my grandma, when she died, I said, well, Grandma, do you have a will? And she's like, well, I don't have anything to have a will. Well, she had a house, and that house has land. Well, the house itself isn't valuable. The land is valuable. And of course, she died without a will. She had 9 children. So even if you don't think you have anything, still, let your wishes known. Because sometimes this maybe it's still jewelry or some of the things that you cherish that you want to pass down to your grandchildren. Like my grandma died and my dad's mom, and she left me this jewelry box. So I have her jewelry box that was nice to, have given to me. It's something that I can remember her because it has her initial on it. And, when I look at the jewelry box, I think of my grandma. So there's things besides money or houses or land that may be valuable to your descendants. So definitely think about that. And don't just say, oh, when I die, they'll figure it out. It's really stressful and it's very hard. So I love, love, love this book, Retire Inspired. It helps you just to make sure that you're prepared because it's expensive to get old. You are healthy and you're living longer. at least in the United States, everything, the cost of living's gone up, cost of food's gone up. So you definitely want to make sure that you're prepared as best as you can be. You know, we can't prepare for everything, but we can do our part. Well, 2025 is upon us, and if you haven't read any of these books, I definitely highly recommend that you try them. They have really enriched me, and I know some of the things that I'm doing the Miracle Morning. So far I've done 29, so I started right after I purchased the book. I have the little app and I check off everything that I do every day. Now, of course, some days I don't get all 6 things done, but I try my best, and if I don't get them all done, then the next day I try to do better. So definitely don't, punish yourself if you don't get them all done. Don't stress out. It's just more of an app to keep you accountable, because I definitely think if we put ourselves first, our relationships will be better in 2025. We'll have more money in 2025. Our health will be better in 2025. And if you think about just small changes, you don't have to spend an hour every day, but if you just spend 20 to 30 minutes focusing on how you can improve yourself, I guarantee 2025 will be the best year yet. If you like this video, watch this next one, and we'll talk about how to live longer and be healthier. I'll see you in the next video, and you have a wonderful New Year's. Bye-bye.